Assalamu alaikum students. Now we are about to discuss and do the second paper, which is 2023's May June paper. We're going to now practice this one. Four descriptions of stages in the program development life cycle are shown. Draw one line to link each description to its most appropriate program development life cycle stage. So at one side, on the right side, you can see there are the stages from the program development life cycle, and on the left side the description for these stages are given. So first of all, first one, develop an algorithm to solve the problem by using either structure diagrams, flowchart, or pseudocode. We know that structure diagram, flowchart, and pseudocode are made or developed using the design phase. So it will be connected to the design part. Detect and fix the errors in the program. Detecting and fixing error is the part of testing stage where we are going to test using different sort of data items, and then we are going to rectify those errors. Identify the problem and its requirement. As we know, it is the initial stage of problem identification. So this is analysis stage. Write and implement the instructions to solve the problem. So in order to solve the problem, we are going to write the code for it. So these are the, we're going to get 4 marks for this simple question. Okay, identify three components part of a after a problem has been decomposed. Decomposition is breaking down a larger problem into smaller parts. So once the decomposition has been done, what are the three component parts which we need to do? So first one is input. And what is input? What is entered into the system? It tells us that what is entered into the system. The second one is process. The processes. What are processes? Actions carried out. The actions carried out are referred as the processes. And finally, we have third stage, which is output. And what is output? Output is the result of processing. The result of processing. They had only asked us three, so these are the main three: input, process, output. If later on someone wants to add up the fourth one, that is storage. Storage basically refers to what we need to keep it with us for the future use. So input, what is entered into the system. Processes are the actions carried out. Output, which is the result of processing. And then finally the storage, that what information which we need to keep with us for future use. The second question, tick one box to show the name of the data structure used to store. Keyword is store and the data structure. A collection of data items of same type. There are three keywords which have been specified: a data structure used to store and same type of data. So what is it? It is array. We know that array is a data structure which can be used to store the data of the similar type, same type. After that, there is a question, describe what is meant by data validation. What is validation? Validation is a automatic check carried out to ensure that the data entered is reasonable or correct. So you can say validation is the automated check carried out by computer. It ensures that data is reasonable. Reasonable is a keyword. You can also say it is accurate. Reasonable, accurate, correct, according to the rules. You can also add up according to rules, according to criteria. Okay, then the B part says a validation check is used to make sure that any value that is input is an integer between 30 and 200 inclusive. This check is applied to ensure that whatever the value we are going to enter should be between 30 and 200 inclusive. Give one example of each type of test data to check that the validation check is working as intended. Each example of test data must be different. First of all, normal. Now, every value entered between 30 and 200 inclusive is there. So, which means normal test data will include any value which is between this range. For example, I write 60. 60 is an accurate example. 75, this is an example. 100. So, any value between 30 and 200 is referred as normal test data. And what is the reason? What is the description? The data is within the required range. These values will be accepted by the system. Data is within the range and will be accepted by the system. Then we have abnormal test data. Abnormal test data, now they said that input should be an integer value. For abnormal, I can write 65 and I write it in double quotes as well. So why this will be rejected? Because this is the wrong data and system should reject this. Wrong data will be rejected by system. Extreme data. We know that what is extreme data? Extreme data tells us that where the maximum and minimum value for data falls. So extreme data can be 30, extreme data can be 200, and what is the reason you can write? 30 is the minimum value accepted by the system. 30 is the minimum value in the range, and then you can say 200 is the max value which is accepted in the range, right? Maximum value, right? Moving on. Explain the purpose of the library routines div and round. We practice these questions. Div is a function which calculates the quotient. It is used to calculate the quotient, and remember, div function can be applied only to integers, exact whole numbers. For example, if I write 17, here I'm going to write 17 div 4. Now we know 4 times 16, 1. So this 4 gives us the div, the result of a division operation. And remember, if it would have been 17 mod 4, mod is the function which calculates the remainder. Div gives us the upper value, which is the quotient, and mod gives us the remainder value, which is the modulus, or you can say the remainder value, the one which is left out as the result of division. And both div and mod function work with integer numbers, whole numbers, right? So now what we are going to write is about its description, how we are going to describe it. First of all, div, to perform integer division. Oh, spelling of division are wrong. Division. Okay, so it means that only the whole number of the answer is retained. It means only whole number of answer is retained, and then you can add up an example value which I just gave you. You can write this way: div 17 comma 4 is equal to 4, right? Because we did this way. I'm just repeating it. For 4 times 16 remainder 1, the div was this value. Div is used to perform integer division. It means only whole number of the answer is retained, and this way you can do it. After that, we have the purpose of the round function. What does the round function do? Basically, round function rounds off the value to the nearest whole number up to the specific number of digits. What it does, it rounds the number up to specific digits. Specific digits refer to the decimal places. I will write an example as well so that you people are able to understand it. Yes, result will be rounded off to the next highest or next lowest number. For example, if the value is greater than 5, then obviously it is going to go for the upper bound, that is the next value, and if it is less than the 5.5, 4.3, then it will round it to the lower part. Now if we want to write its example, how we can write it? For example, round of, let's say we have a number 7.67 and we want the answer up to 2 decimal places. So what it is going to evaluate? It is going to evaluate to 7.70 because 6 7 is closest to the 7 and I have specified two values after the decimal, so it will be 70, right? Now the next one, this is the question which we have already done in the class as well. An algorithm has been written in pseudocode to allow some numbers to be input. All the positive numbers that are input are totaled, and this total is output at the end, and input of 0 stops the algorithm. This particular piece of code contains 4 errors. You have to identify the 4 errors and suggest a correction for each error. First of all, first error we are going to. So what is asked in the question? You have to allow the user to enter some numbers. Only the positive numbers that are inputted should be totaled, and finally total will be displayed. When user enters 0, the process terminates. Now we have to identify those errors. First of all, exit is 0, fine. While exit is not equal to 0, do input number, good. If number is less than 0, no, yes, this is the error. Line 4 is the error. And what is this correction? Number should be greater than 0. Why? Because it said only the positive numbers are total. So the correction will be if number is greater than 0. After that, what is the next error? Total is equal to total plus num. Else if number is equal to 0, then exit is equal to 1. No, it should be if number is equal to 0, then exit is equal to 0. So it will be at line 10, because the process should then exit. 0 means that end that process. If number is equal to 0, then exit is equal to 0. Okay, after that we have, what can be the next error? End if, then end if, then end if. One if, else if, and then why this end if is here? Look, no, there was a while loop. So instead of this end if, it should be and while. So it can be line 13 and the correction should be instead of and if, it should be and while. What is the fourth error? The total values of your number is, we were calculating the total. For that the variable was total, this one. So here instead of number it should be total. So the final output of the message should be, it is line 14 and the number should be total instead, right? Now they have said that you have to make changes to an algorithm. How could change describe how could you change the corrected algorithm to record and output how many positive numbers have been included in the final total. So for that you can just make few changes, that if number is greater than 0 then you can write. But here the question was describe, which means you do not need to write the code, you do not need to write the algorithm, you have to specify in English that how we are going to make changes to it. So for that, since you have to count how many positive numbers are there, so you can initialize another counter variable, initialize another count or counter variable. Count should be set to 0. Initially we can set it to 0. After that there should be a statement added between line 5 and 7. What is that? That if number is greater than 0 then count is equal to count plus 1, because we are counting the total numbers now. So you can say between line 5 and 7 add a statement count is equal to count plus 1. Then what can we do? At the end of the program you can also output the new value of the total value of the count as well. So you can say after line 13 output total value of count, so that we know how many positive numbers were there, right? After that, state two features that could be included to create a maintainable program. Give a reason why each feature should be used. In order to create a maintainable program, what things are required? First of all is meaningful variable name. Now look, this question carries 2 marks, but they have asked us to only give two features, which means first of all we are going to name a feature and then write the description for it. Then name the other feature and we have to again write a description for it. So what we are going to write? Meaningful identifier names. And what is the purpose? To enable the programmer to recognize what the variable is being used for, to enable the programmer to recognize what the variable is being used for, to enable the programmer to understand what the variable is being used for. And what is the other, you can say, feature? Use of comments, so that you can able to know what is the purpose of each section of code. To know the purpose of each section of code. It was quite easy. Okay, no need to do this question because this is related to the array, which is 2D array. So 2D array is not coming in your exam, so you don't need to practice this question. Yes, very important one. The function length phrase calculates the length of a string phrase. Write the pseudocode statement to store the string. The beginning is the most important in phrase. Calculate and output the length of the string and output the string in uppercase. So there are three things. That's why this is a 3 mark question. You have to store the string. In order to store the string in phrase, we are just going to use it. Phrase equals the beginning in double quotes. The beginning is the most important part. Calculate and output the length of the string. So what we have to do, we can use a variable len. Len is equal to length is a function used in pseudocode. Don't confuse it with the len function in Python. We are writing a pseudocode here. So you have to specify the entire length function, length of phrase, and after that output the string in uppercase. So what we can do, output. Okay, one more thing. We didn't output it the length. Huh? First of all, we need to output here output len, and after that output the string in uppercase. So in order to convert the value to uppercase, we use a function in pseudocode known as ucase. For lowercase it is lcase, for uppercase it is ucase. So we are going to specify ucase of phrase. Write the output your pseudocode should produce. The beginning is the most important part. Spaces are also included. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. So there are 40 characters in the beginning is the most important part. Remember, length starts counting from 1 and space is always counted. And then it says that what should be the output, then the uppercase should be displayed. All the phrase, the entire phrase, the beginning is the most important part, will be output in uppercase. Important part. Okay, logic gates we haven't done yet. So that was all about this paper.